Anthony is wonderful. We got a little chemistry there, a little vibe. Let's take it up a notch. The loser has to.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Again, guys, I am on the road, but we are going to be talking to you guys about Ready to Love. And we're going to be talking about the redemption of Denice. Yes, she has shown us a different side on the show, and it proves my point, which is that when knowledge is acquired, there is a trajectory change of the individual person's mind. Guys, if you are new to the channel and you want more content like this, make sure you like, you share, subscribe, and you click on that bell button for a notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you who are returning as well, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Oh, I've lost a bit of muscle there. Don't worry about it. And listen, guys, listen. Let's get into the video. Don't forget as well, grab your merchandise down below. So, just talking obviously about Denice, I think in this particular episode we saw a different side to her after the war and the aftermath of the war with Adriana. You know, herself being in the bottom now in regards to almost being sent home. We'll do a different video when we speak about Kalafani and Denice's conversation and interaction, because I think the way that he delivered the piece of information is exactly why I was saying that's what we want to see.
Oh, okay, come on.
Okay.
I haven't been in this position in a while, so I'm like, give me a second
You know you have a
to
moment.
get it.
What I saw was a different Denice come out when she heard the news that she was in the bottom, right? Because I think at that point she must have thought that she was untouchable, right? And then she got to a place where she was now with Anthony, and in that conversation, I mean, in that interaction with Anthony, we got sort of a more flirty side of her. We saw her making, making even some sexual innuendos and jokes as well. We saw her go skinny dipping. You know what I'm saying? Like, we saw her spontaneity, and what we saw was a lighter side. I mean, I've seen Denice smile, but this was a much more healthier, smiley, enjoyable Denice than what I've seen in the previous weeks.
Hey, left hand, boy. Anthony is wonderful. We got a little chemistry there, a little vibe.
Before that, I saw the angry, the frustrated, the triggered Denice. And for this particular situation, as competition, as game, it's never going to bode well. So the fact that we saw this complete change was amazing to see. Before I get further and deeper into the redemption of Denice, I do need to make this particular comment very, very clear. We can never absolve someone of what they've.
I'm first off going to start off with an apology on behalf of her, because I don't think Adriana has had enough experience to understand my
done when they are not remorseful. My point here is this. What Denice said about Rashid can't be forgotten because she refuses to accept it. Now, when I watched the actual situation between herself and Rashid, she says, I want to apologize on the behalf of Adriana because she's young, she doesn't understand things, she's not as wise as she is. Excuse me? You see, so for me, that instantly shows me a lack of accountability and a lack of self-reflection here. And there's an arrogance also in it as well, where you're you're refusing to accept that you've done something wrong and you've tarnished somebody's name. She made a point that she never called him a narcissist. Sis, let's go back to the evidence in the cave. Sis, you did.
But it's Rashid. I've dealt with a narcissist before. I've had a relationship with a narcissist before. So some of the signs you guys may not see. You come with the college frat.
Later on, when Adriana then tested you and came to you, you didn't say he was a narcissist. You said there are certain things that trigger you about him, right? Certain characteristics. The next episode after, then you said obviously he's got narcissistic. Now you said obviously narcissistic traits, right? So for me, what frustrates me here is a character flaw. That's all. It's a character flaw, right? And we all have character flaws, so it's not a big deal. It's just that she's on the screen and it's been highlighted. So I want to give her that benefit of the doubt. But what I do want to say in respect of that is that, you know, when you're apologizing on the behalf of Adriana, when she doesn't need to apologize because you feel what you said, okay, Adriana's not interpreting what you said correctly, you don't need to apologize on her behalf. That just seems arrogant. On a real thing, it just seems arrogant. You just need to either apologize for what you said or don't apologize at all and hold fire.
Said that you are. I don't think you are a narcissist. I said you have narcissistic traits that would trigger me from my past.
From my standpoint, when I hear my name associated,
And just hold strong the way you are. You know what I'm saying? Because you apologizing on behalf of Adriana doesn't really make sense. So you see, and then someone could say, well, when someone labels someone, sometimes when you're pointing, actually the three fingers that are pointing back at you actually indicates that more often than sometimes it might not be them, it might be you, and you might be recognizing traits that you have. I'm not saying that necessarily about Denice, because I don't think she's a narcissist. I think she's a woman that got hurt, a woman that's been, been through some very hard and tough situations, and she just defending herself, but in the midst of defending herself, has dragged somebody else's name through the mud. What she should have apologized for was actually, do you know what? I've labeled characteristics of narcissism, and I haven't realized how heavy it is to label someone as that. I didn't realize I've dragged you through the mud through that. I apologize. Because when Kafani came to her later on and explained this, right, this should have made her think a little bit, right? But again, I just wanted to make that point because I think some of the comments I'm seeing down below, listen, I hold men and women accountable. You cannot, and I will say it again, you cannot call it light to call someone a narcissist on national television. In fact, in real life, it holds gravity when you call someone a narcissist.
So Denice calling me a narcissist, that's heavy stuff. We've been hearing from other people, but we haven't had an opportunity to address each other. Obviously.
Do you know what I'm saying? You are saying that person is self-loathing, self-loving. They have no empathy. That's what you're saying. You don't understand what you're talking about when you say about narcissism. It's a heavy word to say. Same reason why I would say calling someone a colorist, a racist. We have to be very careful how we label these things. But if they are saying something racial, then we say, listen, you said something racial here, sir. That's racist. Right? We call them out on that. It's fine. But Denice was the only one calling out Rashid as being a narcissist. You understand? Now, he may have traits that are full of himself, and that's another debate. But it's just accountability for saying what you said. That being said, I think if you have a different opinion to the fact that it's a light situation to call someone a narcissist, I personally don't want to have that conversation because it's a non-starter for me. We're not going to be labeling people. Same way as I would take it as I take zero tolerance policy for man's calling a woman a hoe or slut, calling her any kind of sexual names. That would be a zero tolerance. There is no room for it, right? If this was a show and the guy had called her a female dog, I would have told you, listen, that is a no-go. If he doesn't apologize, it's a no-go. There is no debate in here. There's no round about it. If you feel he has narcissistic traits, yeah, or you felt like you were triggered by his characteristics, which you said you were, you were triggered by his characteristics, then keep that to yourself. And
So many personalities. So I'm wise enough to know that.
Gotcha.
That's my own,
Yeah.
I'm not down talking you.
Yeah.
That's my own realization and my own truth.
say, listen, I just don't like Rashid. He reminds me of an ex. Done. But the moment you went into labeling him, you were tarnishing the reputation. It's just that simple. And if you can't see that, that's a character flaw in the sense of the fact that you can't see and reflect that maybe your behavior is affecting somebody else's. Just because you've been hurt doesn't mean you can hurt other people. It's as simple as that. But let's talk about redemption. The redemption of Denice. I've always said this to you guys that, information is king and knowledge is power. The Bible says a lack of knowledge, people perish. And so one of the things that I believe Denice has had is the rude awakening, which was that when she hit the bottom, it allowed her to reassess, hold on, am I playing this game right? Because at one point she looked like she was only going to be for Kafani. And because it's an open game, it's open season, it left her vulnerable because then she wasn't opening herself up to other people. Even though we knew that she had a conversation with, even though she knew that Anthony was part of her, her kind of top, she didn't really explore it as much as we would love to have seen her do. So now when we get to see her going on this date with Anthony, being more vulnerable, being more open, so it's possible for her to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? It's possible. Sometimes we just are so used to our routine and our regular behavior until someone tells you, hold up, wait a minute, pull up, this behavior is not correct. Or this behavior can change. It could be more beneficial if you behave like this. Then there isn't a change of behavior because you didn't know you were doing it in the first place. So what we do see is this change of Denice. And I really love that. That's a change in Denice. Because Now we get to see her, even wiggling her bum in Anthony's crotch area, and while they're playing croquet, they're making bets while they're playing croquet. It's a much lighter side. Maybe they've edited it so we didn't get to see such a light sides with Kafani, but it seemed that they always were having a deep chat, which is great. Deep chats are brilliant, but there is a lighter side to you, and that's why I said to you about when Kafani was joking around with Adriana. I hadn't heard him laugh like that yet with Denice. It seemed like, yeah, it might be the edits again, but I didn't see him laugh the way he was laughing with Adriana. It wasn't as light because it always seemed to be so serious. And so yes, when we get to see her playing this lighter side, laughing, her face is even softened as well. The way she's catching jokes with Anthony, that's what we want to see.
We got a little chemistry there, a little vibe. Let's take it up a notch. The loser has to go skinny dipping in the pool.
So and then obviously the skinny dipping, the fact she was spontaneous with that as well. Well, listen, bravo. Listen, that's what I'm talking. Live for those moments, because this is a competition. So at the end of the day, whether it's Ready to Love or not, it's still a competition because you got to vote people off. This ain't real life. Real life, you don't necessarily vote people off like this under pressure. So the fact that obviously they made that bet. Do you know how, that's when I knew she was living on the edge. When she made the bet about whoever loses goes skinny dipping, that is what I knew, that the competitive side of Denice also is starting to work through. Okay, cool. I can't be the bottom again. What do I do now to change that? Beautiful reflection. Okay, I'm gonna be more on the edge. I'm gonna explore my options a bit more. So skinny dipping was it. I don't know if she would have naturally done that. I don't think she would have naturally done, without her being the bottom. I don't think she would have naturally done that with us on the show. She might have done that outside, but maybe not with us on the show. And this is what I was pointing to at the very beginning when I said about the shell of Denice. It's going to be, if Kafani can't get underneath the shell of it, it's going to be very difficult, right? Because it's a competition. If you can't show that you got a softer side of you, it's going to be very hard. So when we see that with Anthony, maybe Anthony is allowing her to explore that side a bit more. Maybe because she was connecting with Kafani so much on a deep level, and they had gone so many levels in terms of deep conversation. Maybe that's why, she continued that path onwards. I don't know, right? But we rarely get to see that kind of fun side with her and, Kafani, and it may be an edit as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought. What was your guys' prevailing thoughts around the particular situation and issue? Let us know your thoughts. I mean, if anything you disagree with, comment down below. Let us know your major prevailing thoughts. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We appreciate it. We're going to see you soon, baby. If you want more content like this, you know what to do, baby.